Good morning, beautiful people. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. Welcome back to the second hour of LoveBabz, Love Talk. I am so delighted. Black women in Europe. I got my friend Adrianne, who I have known. Girl, we go back to San Francisco 2010. I don't know.
Is it 2010? Because I was trying to figure it out. I thought it might have even been earlier.
Oh, it might have been. I was just trying to give us some grace, but
it's somewhere between 2008 and 2010, but it feels like forever and then like yesterday.
Oh, I know. And hello, Angela, the newbie to the team, to the Black women in Europe team.
Hi.
I was gonna read bios, but I was like, we just gotta have a conversation. I will say that Angela is the founding member and was the chair of the Democrats Abroad Global Black Caucus from 2017 2021. And so she is an elected member of the Democrats Abroad Germany Executive Committee. But she's new to the Black women in Europe team.
Well, you know what, Babz? She's a power lister. She made our power list in 2020. So not only is she a dream partner, she is a fantastic woman. When I met her, just like I cling to you when I met you, when I clung to you, and we spent that whole weekend together. Yes. The first time I talked to
that lost weekend in San Francisco.
Woo, that was so much fun. Well, the first time I met Angela, it was via a telephone conversation. We weren't even on video, and we talked for 7 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So she's like you. Fantastic. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well,
let me tell you about my Washingtonian friend, my DC friend, Adrianne, who I met a gazillion years ago in San Francisco, who lives in Europe. And I got to know her because of the Black Women in Europe blog, right? And then you were doing all that democratic organizing of expats and folks abroad to vote, get out the vote. I mean, you were dead on that. So
we're still doing it. That's one thing that Angela and I share, a passion that we share, and we're still doing it. And you know what? Because of Angela, I realized the blog turns 15 this year.
I know. I saw that. I was like, is that right?
I know. She started digging around the files, and she was like, your anniversary, your 15th anniversary. I'm like, what? I had to go look, and I was like, she's right.
So now y'all are launching a podcast, which makes sense.
Well, you know what? It does. And you've got a theme song. We need a theme song. You've got a theme song, and it's perfect for you. But yes, because it makes sense, because not only are we still standing after 15 years, if we did nothing but talk to the power listers we've been celebrating since 2011, that would be enough right there. But just like the conversation we're having with you, we want to have with other sisters out there in Europe. And they're starting schedule. It's starting to happen. We've done a soft launch, looking for guests. And people are like, yeah, let's do this.
I think you should do it. I think there's a lot of Black women in Europe, isn't there? I mean, yes. I belong to
there are millions.
That's what I thought. I belong to a couple of expat Facebook pages of sisters who packed their bags and went to Europe, all places in Europe, from Lisbon to Germany to, wherever they are.
You're in our group. You've been in our group probably from the beginning too.
Yes.
And
so
tell
people why you started that, though.
Oh, you know what? Totally selfish reasons. Because as you said, I came from DC. I grew up in DC when it was Chocolate City. Went to Howard. First time I moved to Europe, it was London. London can be very Black. If you want Black culture in London, go to Brixton. It's like from there I moved to Brussels. If you want Black culture in Brussels, go to Montagne. Practically anywhere, or basically, is my thought, my experience. Angela can say as well. Any place in Europe that's been colonized, we're there in a community with our food, our culture. You get the best Asian food in London. You'll get the best, whether it's Indian or Chinese or whatever. Wherever we've been, you know where to go to get it in London, where to get the Jamaican food, for example. So our culture is represented. So when I met this Swede, when I was living in Brussels and moved to Sweden, I had to rethink things, and say, okay, this is going to take a little bit more work because I need to find my people. And I found my people because I was forced to do research. And, just like Bridgerton's a hit, I found out about Queen Charlotte,
Yeah.
She's not a fictional character, for example. So you find out about stuff like that, and then people see you and they're like, oh, I knew I wasn't alone. And then the next thing you know, it's a social network, it's powerless, it's a nonprofit, and soon it's going to be a podcast.
Yes. So, Angela, talk a little bit about your experience being a Black woman in Europe, because you live in Germany.
I live in Germany. Yeah, I've been living here for about 20 years. And
Wow.
I have to say that, you can go to Paris or London or some other places, and there's like a huge, like, Black community. But in Germany, it's not so much that way. Germany is a rather large country, and Americans in general and Black people are spread out all over the place. So you just have to kind of look around. And I think that I used to work for the military, and so that's full of Black people. So, when you're overseas, it is like, people don't, when they think of the military, they don't necessarily think of like, non-white people, but our military is probably 30 to 40% like not Black people, not white people, people of color. And so I've met a lot of people through that. But being involved with Black women in Europe has been a real eye-opening experience for me in a certain way, not because I didn't know that there were Black people all over the place, but to just see how many Black women there are, and all the miraculous, interesting things that they're doing. We've spread out through Europe, and we're making a difference. Sure.
So Adrianne, where are you taking Black women in Europe? Like, what is there a goal? Is there a place that you want to get to that you haven't gotten to with the because you have a newsletter, the blog, now the podcast? Like, what else is there that you want to see this get to?
What we came up with yesterday? We have a vision for launching an internship program in spring 2020. We want to partner with every university in Europe and the UK that has a special studies program and help educate and train the next generation of journalists and media professionals and entrepreneurs that come from our community to continue to tell our stories. And that parallel with the 3 pillars of the nonprofit that was founded 5 years ago as part of my 10-year anniversary. And one of the things is to, maintain a platform for alternative sources of news about the Black community in Europe. That's what we're doing. We were doing that before the nonprofit. This has to exist after I'm gone and after Angela retires, right? So that's what the nonprofit is for. And the educational component, that's to ensure longevity. In political terms, we need a backbench, right? Mm-hmm. And the third pillar is a directory of organizations that support Black women. Where do you go in a crisis? Or where do you go when you've been racially discriminated in the job sector, in the healthcare sector, or domestic violence, et cetera? That's the nonprofit. So yesterday, Angela and I were like, we need interns because it's a lot of work. And I was like, I want university credit. I want it to be project-based. I want it to be the student and the academic advisor and us. We come up with a project. At the end of it, they get their 3-6 credits and something. Hey, employer, this is what I can do, or go launch their own thing, whatever that they want to do. Whether they take the journalism track, we need interview these women that we still haven't discovered. If you're doing the entrepreneur track, help us build this empire, etc. It just makes me so excited. Think about it. I know there's something in Oxford, Torch, about people of color, and I've been to a couple of programs there when I lived there. So I know they've got something, but that's just one program. So all over Europe, we're Black women in Europe. There's Black studies programs there, people. Let us know where they are.
And so are you finding Black women are finding you? Like, what does that look like when they, because I know everybody's like, oh, I want to travel. I mean, I see the sites for the travel, but I don't see as far as I know, you're still the only one out there that is not just, you're not about the travel part. You're about, like, we live here. Like, this is what's happening because we live here, and let me tell you what's going on here, and that kind of stuff. So are Black women finding you?
Well, for example, we talked to the Black Expat Global Chatter podcast yesterday,
Hmm.
and she's lived all over the world, and she was familiar with my work. And I don't know if it's because of her time in Europe or Angela. I'm not sure if yesterday was a horrible tech day for me. I was in and out. So that was affirming to know that she's heard about me. And then, in the beginning, I did the work. I was everywhere. And then back, I was an early blogger back when blogging was new and people were interested in it, and especially in the Black blogosphere, and there were awards, and I'm multi-award winning and blah, 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 right? Since then, I kind of like eased off and just was starting other things, a nonprofit, or, focus on different things. So I'm not pushing it. And that's where Angela's going to help, because she's not only a content creator, she's a business partner. And I admit I eased on the gas, but it was never a business thing for me. But this is 2021 now. When I started, it wasn't even the 21st century.
So Angela, now that so now you're thinking about it as a business, and business means monetizing things, and
Yes.
So I mean, talk a little bit about the vision for that, and how women can sort of think about business for themselves in this arena.
Well, it's not going to be simple. I mean, in a lot of ways, the media market is kind of oversaturated with shows and information. And I think that, but we have a really great niche, we have a really great niche, and we can offer women products, services, connections to different things, and we can also help Black businesses in Europe. One of the things that we have and that we're going to expand tremendously is our directory of businesses and doctors and lawyers that are Black. We found a great spa in the Netherlands that focuses on Black skincare.
Oh,
and yeah, we're definitely gonna do
look that up.
we're definitely going there, and we're going to do a whole show around this place because people need to know where all this stuff is. So, I mean, I would love someone who knows Black skin. I mean, in fact, if there's any Black dermatologist out there listening and you're in Europe, please contact us.
Right, right. Because those things are important to us, right? Like,
yes.
Particularly if you go to we can find everything because from home, because we know where to go. But when you get abroad, you might not know. Just like you said earlier, Angela, sometimes things are spread out and you don't know. Yes. And if you don't connect to somebody, you really don't know. So is that at the heart of all of this work, connection?
Yes, to connect us and give us a sense of community, because that's really important. When you're in a foreign country, there's plenty of Black people that were born here. And so I'm just speaking about people that have just come to Europe or have been living here for a while. You sometimes feel, I don't know, not isolated, but when something happens, like in your home country, or something is racially motivated happens, if you're just around a bunch of people who, that's just not their problem, it can be isolating. And we want to give people a place where they can come together, get information, find companionship, and generally just make their lives better by just knowing that there's always a place you can go where you'll always be welcome.
And if I could add on that, because as Angela, she's downplaying it, but Germany has one of the largest Black communities in Europe.
I did not know that.
She's right. They're spread out. It's primarily African, which is we're part of the diaspora. And one reason I know that is because this organization, African Women in Europe, that's based there. And also because I spent a lot of time working on the directory of organizations that support women across Europe, I found that a lot of them are in Africa. I'm sorry, a lot of them are African based in Germany. And for example, this one woman, Joy, from African Women in Europe, she's starting something specifically for Kenyans. So it could be very countries based on where you are in Europe, based on how we landed. For example, the Somali community is huge in the suburbs of Stockholm.
Really? See, I did not. I
Really.
had no idea. I don't know
And
how
I
I
have,
would know that, but I didn't know that.
well, one reason I know is because I met a young guy. I was like, oh, your mom must be so proud. You know, like he could be my son. He used to work at the US Embassy. He's Somali born. Well, I shouldn't say that because I don't know if he was born in Sweden, but his parents were not. But he's Swedish. And he worked at the US Embassy, I think in the economic department or something as an advisor. But he's gone on and started a nonprofit that focuses on the Black community in Sweden or minorities in Sweden or, equality. But one thing he was in the news for, it's like, this is universal, girl, wherever we are. We were the hardest hit for COVID in Sweden, and it was primarily the Somali community. And part of it was they weren't getting the information in their own language or how we live differently. My mother grew up with a grandmother in the house. A lot of these communities are multi-generational. I didn't have the blessing of a grandmother. The American dream was like, move out, get out, take your mother back in when she gets old, and you have to, if you can't get her in a, whatever. So certain cultures live different ways, so they were harder hit. And he was on the news, trying to make it better. So that's when I realized that, okay, wow, we're even getting screwed in Sweden. And then that's who is getting screwed in Sweden, who's the us part, So I don't know what it was like in Germany. Not every country carries statistics. I don't know if Sweden does, but that was newsworthy because it was a problem. Sweden wasn't happy about that. And they were like, we got to fix this. We got to make sure we're getting the information to different communities. So people like that, I would love to talk to his mother or people that he's working with or people that are affected by the work that he does. We're everywhere doing stuff like that. I meet Black women in Sweden that have been born here to a Swedish parent, or there's some whose American parents moved here and they're born. I met older men that came here from Vietnam, didn't want to be in Vietnam, I should say. Sweden was a refuge. There are all kinds of Black people in Europe. And I'm really excited about meeting the ones with what we call foreign accent, right? When they speak English, they speak it with it's not an American accent. That's going to be cool.
I love that. I love that. So, I think you make a good point. So when you see these communities of African folks and things have to be put in their language so that they can understand how to move about their new homelands or their new communities. I think that's critical. And so do you get opportunity to say to local officials, well, this is what I think the problem is, or you might want to consider this, or do
you know
you
what? You know what is very
reach?
similar? Well, you know what is very similar to, like, in the US, we had to get the message out to our communities about COVID. We're fighting COVID misinformation.
Oh yeah.
Hesitancy. So you're right, but am I, and that's something food for thought, Angela. We can be a voice for our communities to make sure. We do that now for voting to make it as urgent as possible for Americans. And we spent all last season focusing on the Black voting community of Americans abroad to make sure they exercise that right. We consider that a critical message. So you're right, we can do that where we are in our homelands. I do get calls from the local radio about stuff that's political, American political. They called me. I was in the States on January 6th, girl. Everybody wanted to talk about the insurrection. So they were like, we're there. I called my husband. They didn't want to talk to me. He was like, we're watching it live. He was like, all of CBC is now live from the insurrection.
Yes.
He's like, because I was like, do you know what happened? He's like, do I know? All of Sweden is watching.
Yes,
So
everyone watched that all over the world, and it was a painful event. I had people asking me about that, like what happened, just people that normally wouldn't ask me a question about politics. They were asking me questions, German people, about what happened on January 6th. And yeah, we have to tighten up our act in America because we look bad.
That's an interesting perspective to be in Europe and have Europeans ask you about what is going on in America.
Yeah.
I had just gotten to the point where I didn't have to make sure I didn't have to make the t-shirt that say, don't ask me about Trump. and like on the back, I'm working hard to get them, out. We just got to that point where we could, either burn those T-shirts and we didn't have to get them made. And now it's like, don't ask me about January 6th. And now the new one is like on the back and Virginia,
Well, yeah, but I had that problem. I actually didn't have that problem so much with Trump. I had it more with Bush. And I spent like 8 years trying to explain to people when I would go to their house or they'd have a party and then an American would show up. Yeah, I'm not like that. I'm not one of those people. You don't have to be afraid of me. I'm okay. I'm a logical thinker. It was, yeah. So it can be very difficult sometimes to be an American outside of America and try to explain our tomfoolery.
Gosh. So,
in Brussels, people were aggressive and hostile, Babz.
Really?
Hey, are you for or against the war? Did you vote for or against Bush? And there were warnings. I was working at American Chamber of Commerce, Belgium, not the American Chamber of Commerce, but the local thing. And they were warnings, the embassy was catty corner. Don't hang out with Americans. Don't go to these expat places. You were literally living in fear. I was for a short period, you were like, there's some people, I'm from Canada. And then you're like, but, if somebody asked you, you can't come up with a new identity, but it was that bad. But Babz, before you ask another question, I just want to say, Angela, do you know she came to Paris and didn't even think about coming to Stockholm?
Oh my
gosh. Well, it's not that close, but
Thank you, Angela. I was like, girl, it's over the river and through the woods. I was like, do you know what I had to do? I told her when I come back, I will make a beeline Sweden.
I'm still salty.
I know she's still salty. That was 2 years ago. She's still salty.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I thought about you though. I let you know. I was like, I'll be in Paris.
But you know what? That's something that's just bad about Babz is she does stuff like that following like something happened and she'll be like, boom, I'm going to Paris. And it's like, wait a week ago, what? So, I think you're one of the bad ADs I know, and I just admire you.
I admire you. I love that the work that you're doing. I don't think people even have an awareness about getting expats to vote and handling a democratic committee over there so that people can vote. And that's huge. I don't think people think about that.
Well, that's the problem too, isn't it, Angela? Not enough of us that are here think about it because every election, 1 million of votes are left on the table. And even though we've got tens of thousands of dedicated volunteers, we're probably the largest volunteer organization of Americans outside of the US who live and breathe this. It's not enough. Obviously, we wake up after Virginia and think, okay, heck, I didn't phone bank. I should have done this. I thought I did enough. Every missed opportunity, every election is looked at as a missed opportunity. And I take it personally and get more and more scared. Angela, how exhausted are you? I don't even want to think about we're marching into 2024 with a battle.
Yeah, that's going to be a nightmare. But I think that there are, they say, 8 million Americans overseas living outside the US.
That's a lot.
Yeah, there are. I think there's about 250,000 in Germany, actually. So that's a large community. There's places, the bigger places are the UK,
Canada, Mexico, France.
Americans living in Canada. And most of them don't vote, which is really...
And do they say why they don't vote? Do you have a sense of why? I know why people don't vote here because, some people are just apathetic or they just feel like this is not for them or they don't see the change or whatever it is.
Well,
what do you hear in Europe?
There's a lot of reasons. The first reason is, number one, they don't know how to do it from abroad. They don't know how to do it. So we try to help people understand how to vote, make it as simple as possible to vote. Number two, people are afraid of taxes. They're afraid that if they request an absentee ballot, then somebody's going to be like, oh, you owe taxes. So now's the time to...
Some people don't even know. Can I say a precursor? Some people don't even know that they can vote.
Yeah, well, that also, they don't know they can vote, but all Americans can vote. Doesn't matter where you are. Everybody should spread that information, far and wide. If you're an American, whether you live in America or not, you can vote. But yeah, the tax thing is really high. People are afraid of their taxes, but honestly, that's not anything to be afraid of, because if they want you for your taxes, they'll get you with your passport.
Yeah.
That's where they'll get you. And that's not, it's true. They'll say, no, sorry, you're going to have to come back here and deal with whatever, and then we'll issue your passport. So yeah, it's taxes. It's not knowing how to do it. It's also a lot of people, but it's slowly dawning on people that they think, I don't live in the United States, so I don't have to be worried about this kind of stuff.
That's what I was thinking, that they were thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not true. America is like, we're everywhere. No, not like a cancer, for God's sake, but more like it's everywhere. It's in places where you don't think. Americans, we have military bases all over the world, like in almost every country. We have embassies, we have other things, other government agencies that are out there doing things. So
McDonald's,
yeah, McDonald's, all the American businesses, we're influencing a lot of things. And so you can't hide from America, because if the wrong person is in charge, as we just saw a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention.
And that 2.0 is rising, right? And it's I just had guests on before y'all came on, and they, there's a young brother who works for Trevor Noah. He put a film together on the Confederate monuments in Louisiana, and why that is problematic. And he said something very telling. He was like, this moment right now feels like Reconstruction. And I kind of like that, because it makes me feel less desperate and sad about these moments that we're in.
I guess maybe because I live in Germany, it doesn't feel like Reconstruction to me. It feels like 1938, right before the Nazis rolled into Paris. That's how it feels to me.
Hey, Angela, that's heavy.
Yeah.
But if that's what if you see it from where you sit, so.
And weirdly, or not even weirdly, but a lot of Germans feel that way too.
Really?
That they go after World War II, they've gone out of their way to teach children in school about what happened during the Nazi era and fascism and how it gets started and what to look out for. And you would be surprised how many people have said something very similar, like about this feels like the beginnings of Nazi Germany. So everybody, please vote, like no matter what. And I know that the Democrats aren't always the best, but it's better than becoming a fascist state.
Can I say, we were listening and I couldn't get my Swede to understand. And I was like, because it doesn't make sense. We were driving back from getting my phone fixed last night. And there was a news clip in Swedish about the election in Virginia. And then, in America, the newscaster asked the voter why he voted for the Republican candidate. And he said, because I'm concerned about education and there's certain things that I don't want. And the newscaster said, well, what is it that you don't want? He said, critical race theory. And the newscaster said, what is critical race theory? And the guy said, I don't really know. A lot of it I don't understand. And the guy said, well, what is it that about the part that you understand that you don't like? And the guy was like, I don't know. And that explains the whole thing. And there it is. There's our democracy in a nutshell. They don't even know, but they know that the Democrats are not selling a good enough story. If that guy could buy that, BS, and it could probably say, I voted for something that I don't understand, but I feel so passionate about it and my husband was like, well, what did he say? I said, I can't tell you. I said it over and over, and he couldn't understand. I said, neither do I. But I know we're not doing it right. We're not doing it right.
No, I think you're right, Adrianne. I think you're absolutely right. I think for some reason, the Democrats don't have a message that is resonating with anyone, you know. And
Shots in
I
the
don't
banks didn't work. Shots in arms didn't work. What do people want?
know. I don't know. And I don't know how to talk to people about this, you know, who are dead set on, you know, anti-vax and anti-critical race theory and I don't want people living next door to me and any of it. You know? So you know what, Angela, you might be right then. You might be right. Fascism is at the right at our doorstep. And I don't think we see it, the forest for the trees.
No, I don't think people see it at all. I think that even people that consider themselves Democrats are super left. They don't realize the actual danger that we're in. That, you know, Hitler was elected. He didn't take over. He was elected. Right. And then he threw out all the democracy. So this could easily happen in the United States. And to circle back to January 6th, that has, what was that called? The beer hall putsch in Munich that Hitler and the Nazis tried. And at least they went to jail, unlike the people in January 6th. And then they worked through political means, like all the rest of the people that are being elected as Republicans, on the basis of racism, essentially, and sexism too, and homophobia. Really, it seems to be very easy to entice people with these type of things. You know, there was a TV show that I watched recently, is an American show. It was called Philadelphia DA. It was about Larry Krasner, the DA. He's a progressive district attorney, and he's against, you know, he stopped trying people for marijuana possession and other things. He was trying to find alternate ways to, you know, deal with all the crime in an arrest in Philadelphia. And in the show, just like people without vaccinations, he was trying to talk about the statistics of what they've done versus what's gone over, and show people facts, you know, here's information. And all the people that were in, there was like like a town hall meeting or something. And all these people were like, I don't want facts. Why are you trying to give me information? I'm telling you how I feel, you know? And it's like, yeah, but your feelings are not like they're not facts. And one of the scary things about this, I'm not sure I ever want to go to Philadelphia, because it was like 300 people a year are killed with gun violence in Philadelphia. And this has been going on. This is like a permanent status. It's been going on for 10, 15 years that this many people get killed. And somehow they believe, a lot of people believe that if you just keep locking people up, like it'll stop the violence. And it's like, that's not really working, because every year you lock a bunch of people up and then 300 more people get killed with gun violence. And then you lock them up and then 300 more people get killed. So there's something else going on. And I think that it would do us all well just to kind of take a look at the big picture of everything, you know, not just what you think is going wrong or what you don't like. I mean, there's plenty of things I don't like, but that doesn't mean that I should freak out, you know, like, I mean, because there's a rule or something that I don't like. And critical race theory, I have to say, as the former chair of the Global Black Caucus, people are afraid of racism. And it's not just people of color that are afraid of it. It's white people too. And they're afraid to be racist. And a lot of people want to do racist things and act in racist ways, but they don't want to be called a racist. And I believe that's like part of this CRT fear, is that they think, I mean, people have said it, they don't want their children to feel guilty about being white. And it's you don't have to feel guilty about being white.
The best thing I saw was the people who threw stones at Ruby. Exactly, for trying to get an education. Don't want their grandchildren to know that they threw rocks at Ruby Bridges for trying to get an education. It's
Yes.
basically, I don't even think critical race theory exists, does it? It's like,
It's illegal. It's something for people in law school or in doctorate social science programs. It's not for children. You know, it's not even for people getting a bachelor's degree. You know,
how ironic is this? That something that academic and highbrow is now like the soundbite of the Republican Party, and people don't understand.
Yeah, but that also goes to their anti-education. You know how?
Yeah, that's really at the heart of it for me. Anti-education, because when you can dumb down your citizens, then you can pretty much steamroll anything you want, because they're not going to ask the legitimate questions about why you're doing this, why is this happening? They're going to go along. So you know what you're technically doing is hypnotizing people with their own ignorance, and it's dangerous, very dangerous.
It's very dangerous. We're in a bad place in a lot of ways. Our education system I'm going to say for the past 30 years has been going down the tubes, and we have a lot of people, including people who consider themselves educated with degrees, that are not very educated. They just know something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I love this conversation. I want y'all to come back so we can have more global conversations around politics, because I think this is fascinating.
Well, you come to us. Will you be a guest on our podcast?
I will come wherever you ask me to come, girl. What are you talking about?
Okay, it's a date there. We're gonna get you on.
No, this is good. People are blowing up my phone enjoying this conversation. Like, oh, Babz, who are these women? I love them. I was like black women in Europe. And so when is the do you have a date for the podcast launch?
Yeah, I believe that we're going to release our first 3 episodes the week before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah, probably on the 19th. And if you want to find us, you can find us at our podcast at anchor.fm/BWIE. And if you want to find out all of our interesting things, our blog, our social media, how to contact us, you can find us at linktr.ee, Linktree/Black Women in Europe, one word.
Oh my God, I've enjoyed this conversation. Adrianne, it is a joy to see you. Like, I mean, we see each other on Facebook and Instagram and all that other kind of stuff, but it's really nice to sit and talk to you.
I know it brings San Francisco back, how much fun we had. We're going to have to meet in Europe. You know what? You're going to have to do your show when we do our show at one of these places on location in Europe. But I will. That. But I know you're down for that. So. Oh yeah, I am. Listen, I think I'll be back in Paris this May for my birthday. I think I'm coming back again for my birthday. So that's the goal. So we'll see how the best vegan places. Angela's vegetarian. I ate vegan the whole time I was in Paris. I ate vegan the whole time I was in Paris. I went to a couple of patisseries, a couple of restaurants. I mean, I just ate vegan. It was great. And there was no shortage of eating, right? Like, I didn't go hungry, not one bit. Like, no. I ate at fancy places and little divey places. It was a great experience. I found more vegan things in Paris than I do here. Look, I know you like to keep it solo because you're a warrior woman and you like to do, and I know how that is when you want to do what you want to do, but maybe you can give me and Angela a couple hours. We can maybe meet you one day there. We're not no. I love traveling with people. I have my good girlfriends are coming with me, I think, in April and May. So, that's a different vibe. Let's all meet up.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
You tell us where you find some central place. We'll get on a train or whatever and come to wherever we can meet up. That'd be fun. Yes. Thank y'all for being my guest this morning. I hope you do come back because I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Angela and Adrianne. Say hi to your sweetie. I sure will. All right. Goodbye, sisters.
Bye.
All right, Harry. We're going to rock on out. And I'll be back tomorrow. I've got guests tomorrow too, people. I'm telling you, I'm doing a lot of talking this week. A lot. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Rawls-Ivy from New Haven, Connecticut, and you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, streaming live at newhavenindependent.org.